Alright, so I'm going to be showing how to open up and disassemble this Lenovo IdeaPad S340-14IWL. Alright, so first thing we're going to use a T5 or Torx 5 screwdriver to remove all the screws from the bottom. Right, you want to keep them in order because they can be different size, shape, and lengths. The way I do that is I put them flat side down like that on my desk in the pattern I remove them. So we got 3 here, and then 4 down here. Okay. So let's go ahead and remove all those screws. The customer said their laptop randomly shuts off and they believe it's a heat issue. So let's see if the fan is having some problems spinning or what's going on with it. All right. Oh, I think I have a customer here. Give me a second, let's get the rest of these screws out. That screw seems to be stuck there. I don't think these screws are supposed to be stuck here, but we'll see. Actually, it seems like they are. Okay, anyways, most likely that's to help pop this bottom cover up. So that way you can kind of pull under here and then you can go along this and pop this out. Okay. I really love when customers don't read signs. It says not to knock, but okay. Anyways, it looks like the plastic here holding it is broken, but let me get the door. I gotta tend to that customer and I'll be back. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. Let's go ahead and pop this open. 2 of those screws just fell inside, so make sure you don't lose them in there. Let me grab those out. Oh man, they're just, okay, there we go. And the other one. Yep. Okay, so let's go ahead now and continue popping this out. We're gonna work our way around. Okay, the design seems like pretty bad. I think the plastic is getting brittle for whatever reason. So, you see that? There's a crack just from barely, I don't even know if that's from opening it or if it was cracked already, but let's go ahead and wiggle this. Okay, come on, undo. Where are the clips on here stuck? Clips towards the back here are stuck for some reason. There we go. Okay, so here we got that. Here's the fan. Wow, the fan's really stuck. You see that? So yeah, it wasn't spinning at all. So I'm gonna have to clean this up. I'm gonna clean the dust out real quick. We're gonna see if hopefully we can repair this fan. Most likely the grease on it is bad. Usually I see this when the customers, they have a lot of cooking with a lot of steam and boiling. Usually a lot of Indian households, they'll be boiling foods for a very long time, and then the grease and the steam kind of gets sucked into the fan, and that's what ends up damaging it. So it's getting a little better actually as I turn it, and so it's probably okay. We'll clean the dust out and then we'll clean this all up and then look at all of this. Hopefully the fan's not going to make some crazy loud noises. If you're wondering how I clean it, I use a toothbrush, and basically I'll hold the fan and I'll loosen this a bit. Okay, usually I do this outside, and then I'll just use an electric air blower to blow the dust out. You don't want to use the canned air, because those compressed airs, it blows really cold air, which causes condensation. It'll look fine at first, but then that the coldness will pull water and it will get inside the fan and can make it worse. So usually I try and avoid using those canned airs. All right, I'll be back. All right, I'm back. So it's a lot cleaner inside now. Okay. We also cleaned up the fan a lot. We are going to actually take the fan out just to be safe, and then also we're going to redo the thermal paste because the customer told me that it shut off multiple times, and usually if it shut off from the heat, that means it reached 100 degrees Celsius, which is enough to kind of harden the paste under there. Okay, so we're going to take a close look of the components inside. Here you have the CMOS BIOS RTC real-time clock battery. It's on a separate board here, 2 USB ports, SD card slot. You also have the 1 key recovery button here that you can use a push pin to press to get to the BIOS or the temporary boot devices. Right, that's connected with this cable that runs under the battery. Let's actually pop the battery out using a JS1 or J1 screwdriver. Okay, there's one screw here. Again, keep all the screws in order because they are different size, shape, and lengths. You don't want to mix them up and then cause damage putting the wrong ones in the wrong place. Okay, so we got those two and one up here. Okay, and I think those are, oh, there's one more screw hidden over. Oh, no, there isn't. Okay, so I think that's all the screws. Are they hiding any other ones somewhere? Why does it feel like it's pulling up the board somewhere? Oh, let's see. Okay, let's hold that down. Okay, so we have this little piece that kind of slides and tucks underneath. So you got to lift this side and then slide it over, and then you can kind of rotate this to get it out. We're going to grab this. If you can, it's best to grab the connector. I'm going to push this with my thumb, the black portion. Okay. And then while I'm pushing that, I'm going to just move this side to side like that, and that should help get this connector out. Okay. Here we go, just like that. And you want to be careful when touching places in the computer. Make sure that you're grounded so that you don't cause static to short out or shock anything here. Okay, battery model number is right there. L18C3PF6. All right, so we'll set that aside. Okay, so here you can see keyboard connector is here. These kinds of connectors have flip latches, so this can flip up and then you can pull the connector out, but I'm going to leave it in there. This one, the keyboard backlight connector here, you can flip that latch and pull that out. This is the touchpad trackpad connector, same thing, flip latch, pull it out. There's another flip latch, pull that out. You want to be very careful with these latches, pull them up very slow. I've had so many people mention in the comments that on some of these they rip the plastic piece off, and then after that they won't be able to use any of these unless you can carefully put those back on. You need very steady hands and good tweezers and good eyes to be able to do that. All right, there's a speaker connector here which has the red and black wire running over to the right side speaker here. Since it's upside down, that's on the left, and then you have the blue and white wires going to the speaker here. There's a slot for a 2.5 inch SATA hard drive. Remove that one screw. After you remove that screw, this can, oops, sorry, there's 3 screws. So there's 2 more screws here, one here and one here. Okay, once you get those 3 screws out, you can slide this back and then lift that up. There's actually no hard drive in here right now, so if you want to put a hard drive in here, there are 4 screws holding this in place. You will have to initialize the hard drive unless it already has stuff on it, but you will have to go to like the disk manager and initialize. Okay, so when you put it back, you would start it down here and then you would slide it into place, and that would connect the SATA connectors. All right, I'm not going to take the M.2 SSD out because there is a sticker on top, so we're going to leave that as is. All right. Let me see if the hinge screws are loose, because sometimes when plastic and stuff's breaking like that, these can become an issue. So I'm gonna make sure to tighten these. Okay, it was a little bit loose. There's another screw here and here. Okay, since we might have to mess with the LCD LVDS connector, I'm gonna carefully open up the laptop. All right, this is after you disconnect the battery. And then we're going to press and hold the power button here for at least 15 seconds to drain any residual power. All right, this drains power from the capacitors and things, and making it a lot safer to work on. All right, so we'll hold it a few more seconds. All right, there we go. We're going to carefully close this back up now. Give me a second, I need to respond to a couple customers. All right, I'm back. Let's go ahead and continue. Looks like there's 1 slot for RAM. We're going to get underneath this metal cover. I just used my fingernail to lift up underneath the bottom edge, just like that. If you want, you can probably use tape or a small suction cup if you have one. And here's the stick of RAM. We're going to pull these 2 tabs to the side. I'm going to keep my finger on top in case it flies out. And we have this 4 gig PC4-2666V. You should be able to upgrade with any PC4-2666V RAM. Okay, goes back in like that and then clicks back down, and then this goes back in. Make sure that the edges line up with those little metal clips that hold it in place. Okay, very important. You don't want to put it in all weird. All right, again, there's an M.2 PCIe NVMe SSD here. All right, pretty sure, yeah, it's NVMe. This is Gen 3, but you should be able to use whatever generation you want. Okay, there's the DC jack charge port connector here. If you want to replace it, there's the screws you got to remove and then lift this hinge up. The easiest way to lift this is you open the laptop slightly so you can kind of get your hands in here, undo the screws, and then when you lower this down, it will keep the hinge slightly up. You can get under there and then flip it back and then pull this out. We're going to leave that as is. Wireless cards here under this foam pad. I removed this and show how on a lot of laptops, so if you need help doing that, just let me know. I can send you another video. We got the fan connector here. We're going to actually disconnect the fan connector. I just use the wings here and you just wiggle like that. Okay, and since we are going to change the thermal paste and stuff, let's go ahead and pop this out. So this has this pull tab here. I can never pull this out just by pulling it. So what I do is I get underneath with my fingernail, just like with the RAM cover, and I pop it up, and I basically just pry it up with my fingernail as I do that. All right, and I find fingernails are more gentle than using plastic pry tools. It's easier to feel what you're doing, and there's a lot less risk of damaging things because people keep asking why I leave my fingernails long, and that's why. All right, this connector, oh, it's kind of, the CMOS battery's in the way, so be careful with that. Okay, you don't want to bend the wires too much, so be very gentle. I'm slowly trying to get it out from around there without having to rip the CMOS battery out. There we go. Okay, and we'll just set that aside. We got one screw here and one screw down here. Okay, and now we should be able to get the fan out. So lift it up and you can see there's a big ball of dust, and that's after I already blew it out and dusted it. You see some of the dust got caught and stuck in there. So we're gonna, come on, focus on that. You can see that there's a huge ball of dust. So we're gonna get that out. And I'm gonna clean this better now that I have the fan completely off. All right, so let me go dust that out and I'll be back. Here you can see that dust ball, it's pretty big. All right, I'll see you guys in a bit. I'm gonna brush this and then clean it off a little bit better. All right, I'm back. So we cleaned this out. Okay, that's good. Clean that out. Clean the bottom as well. This and the radiator fins, whatever you want to call that. Okay, so now we're gonna remove the heatsink here. 3 screws. We're gonna undo all those screws. Make sure you put enough pressure so that the screwdriver doesn't slip. You don't want to strip the screws. Again, we're using a J1 or JS1 screwdriver. Okay, you don't want to use a PH screwdriver because those can slip a lot easier. Okay, so there we go. We got the 3 screws out. Next, we got to get this off. If it doesn't just lift off easily, what you want to do is you actually want to twist it. So you can go from here, kind of twist it here, and you can kind of wiggle it around, and hopefully eventually you should be able to, there we go, lift it off. So there is the thermal paste that we need to clean up. We're basically just going to use a paper towel, wipe that off, and then we're going to use some isopropyl rubbing alcohol to clean it a bit better. So I just got a small piece of paper towel here, and we're just going to basically wipe this off. Okay, and let's see, depending on how bad it is, it might be like really solid. If it's really solid, you might have to use a plastic tool to kind of scrape it off. But there we go, clean that off, and then we're gonna have to use isopropyl alcohol. We're gonna do the same thing with the CPU here. Usually I'll hold this upside down over a trash can because you can see these bits coming out. So let me do that and then I'll be back. All right, we're back. Let's go ahead and zoom in here. You can see there's some gunk that's still stuck on there, kind of weird. All right, let's go ahead and now get a paper towel, and we're just gonna put some isopropyl alcohol on it. We're using 91%, you can use 70% as well, should be fine. All right, and we're just basically gonna clean off the dies. You don't really need to clean all the area around, but I like to just to have it nice. But the main thing is just these shiny silver areas, okay? Or chrome, or whatever you want to call it. Okay. All right, so we got that. We're gonna have to dust it. I might have to clean it a second time because some of the residue stayed. We're gonna do the same thing with the bottom of the heatsink. All right, be careful not to bend this. You don't want to bend the pipe. You can actually put the whole thing down on the desk to keep it more flat, and then you can do it that way. But again, don't press too hard. You don't want to bend this thing. Okay, so look at that. You can see all the gunk that came off. We're gonna flip it over to a clean side, put some more isopropyl rubbing alcohol, and repeat. Okay, same thing. Clean that. Clean that. Then use the dried side to dry it off. And blow the dust away. Okay, then we'll do the same thing with this. Again, cleaning that off. All right, look at that. You can see the oxidation and stuff coming off. Okay, try it up. There we go. Blow any dust or lint away. Okay, so here we go. We have that. Okay, now we got to put new thermal paste here. You actually don't really need very much. All right, so these are super small, and basically you'll just apply some paste like this across here. And this is like a very small amount. Actually, this is way more than enough because it will smash this super thin. And usually I try and keep it like rounded, like a grain of rice, okay? And that way when you put the heatsink on top, it'll smush out all the air bubbles to the sides, right? This one's actually gonna be a little bit bigger, like actually the size of a grain of rice, because this one is bigger. But this stuff will spread super thin, so it might look like it's not a lot, but it's plenty. All right. All right. There we go. Okay. So now that we got that all on there, let me see if I can show you. Okay. All right. We're gonna now get the heatsink back on top. So let's zoom out so you can see better. All right. We actually didn't need to zoom out that far. Okay. And these are numbered. Number 1 here, 2, 3. Okay. So we're gonna carefully lower this down into place, try and align that, and then let this go down as well. Okay, so we'll take the 3 screws. We'll get the first one. I like to twist backwards here, click, and then twist twice. Get the second screw, same thing. Twist backwards here, click, 1, 2. Same thing with this one. Click, 1, 2. Also, some models do have like a GPU here. That's why they have these little squares and rectangles with the little dots. But yeah, all right. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Back to here, 1, 2. Let's actually tighten it all the way down. Tighten this all the way down, and then tighten this all the way down. All right, there we go. Then we're gonna obviously put the fan back in. So get that back lined up, right? Make sure if you're replacing the fan that when you plug the connector in, you can actually see the metal pins are visible through the top here. You don't want to accidentally plug it in upside down where it's solid plastic. All right, so get that lined up. Can be a little bit tricky because it's so small, but get it all lined up. And then I like to pinch both sides like this, right, to get it in. That way you're not just pushing the connector off the board. All right, so now that we got that in, let's go ahead and get the screws back in. 1 screw here, and 1 screw over here. Okay, now that you got those 2 screws in, we're gonna get this cable back into place, just like this. Okay, put that in, pull that out into place. All right, there. Go around just like that, and then we'll get this lined up. Make sure it's lined up, and then click it down. All right, there we go. You hear that? It's not really a satisfying click. It's more like a weird crunch. But yeah. All right, next thing we got is the battery. Or last thing we got is the battery, and then the bottom cover, and we should be good to go. So battery, make sure that you put it also the right way. You can see solid plastic. They put a dot on here, but if you get a replacement battery, it might be twisted upside down, and you might see these. You want these actually facing down, okay? You can actually tell there's some raised plastic bits here that go into the slots. All right, so we'll get this in, and we'll push that all the way in. You might have to push on the connector. All right, then we'll go ahead and pull this up. Again, make sure to slide this part under this latch to hold it in place. And then we'll get the 3 screws back in and get the bottom cover, and we should be good to go. Get that screw. Get this screw up here. All right, and then the 1 screw down here. All right, now let's get the bottom cover back on, and we should be good to go. Let's zoom out. Oops, too much. Okay, so now we got all of that. Let's go ahead now and get this on. Okay, I'm gonna start with the top here, pushing that down. Work your way around the edges. Okay, and then we'll get these back in. I don't know if we'll be able to get this back in the right way because the way it's broken, but oops, I probably should have put these first because they go underneath. Let me actually see if I can somehow repair these broken ones, if I can super glue it into place or something. Okay, so we're gonna get that and then kind of wiggle this, get these clips out. Okay, am I going to be able to put these broken ones back in? Let's see, how did it break? So this one has large area, this one has longer area. I can't tell which side's from which. I'm gonna have to just test fit. Okay, that looks like it might be right. Let's try putting this other one here. Oops. Yeah, no, I think I had it right. So this one goes here, I hope. Yep. Okay, so we're gonna now put some super glue here and stick those little pieces back in. Okay, so I'll lift that up and get some super glue there. Very small amount. Pretty sure I put way too much, but okay. It is what it is. All right, so there's that. I'm gonna try and get this lined up in there, and we're gonna hold that in place. I'm gonna have to try and clean that up, so I'll use the paper towel here, and I'll hold that. You wanna hold this for about 30 seconds. So I don't think you really wanna watch this part, so let me do that on both sides, and I'll be back. All right, so we're back, and as you can see, this is secured now, okay? And this is also secured. All right, let's go ahead and put this back together. Okay. Line it up, get this into place. Also, these screws are held in with little metal washers. All right, that's how they stay intact. And we're gonna get these screws back in. Okay. Just like that, very simple. Okay. Take that in. All right, so make sure all those screws are tight. Get the last few, and that's pretty much all there is to it. Hopefully this video helped you guys out. If it did, again, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share my channel with others so that they can learn how to upgrade and repair their devices as well. And if it helped you save a bunch of money, please consider contributing a little to the channel. Every little bit helps and allows me to continue making these videos for a living. All right. Other than that, you're welcome to stay as I get all these screws back in. We will power it on, make sure everything is good, and then that should be pretty much it. All right, let's get the last few screws in. And make sure the fan is spinning, and we should be good to go. Okay, let's go ahead now and power this up. And I hear the fan. Right, so we should be good to go. It's loading up, and yeah. All right, hopefully this video helped. Thanks for watching again, and I'll see you all in the next one. All right, let's drop this. Bye.